Welcome to the Bliss of Art. I'm Mary Boehme, owner of Married Art Studios, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are painting Donald Duck. Now Donald Duck is filled with fun, just like the character is filled with fun. And I like Donald because Donald has all kinds of lovely colors within his pattern. Anyways, I have already begun started the canvas. Actually, it's not even a canvas. It is a piece of cardboard. Cardboard. I just said I need to find something around the house that you might have. So that's why I decided to paint on cardboard. Now, if you're going to paint on cardboard, make sure that you put a polyurethane on the back of it because you don't want it to get wet and then just kind of fall apart. So what I've done was I've mixed up a really dark green. Oh, it's a beautiful green, sort of a dark minty green color. And this is the color that I used in creating the background. And I put it on, it's acrylic. I put it on very, very thick. And then I used this funny type of palette knife. It's got all kinds of ridges, as you see. Kind of like potato chips have ridges. Well, this knife has lots and lots of ridges. And then after I spread my green paint all over, and then I took my palette knife and then I just kind of smoothed the top out because the top water on the picture is very smooth, and I need to pull it off for a second and show you the picture that we are painting. And pardon me for a second, I almost forgot about showing you what we are painting today. So there is Donald Duck. And I hope he's a duck because I'm not so good with birds and ducks and names and so forth. But anyways, I gave him the name of Donald because I think Donald is going to be lots and lots of fun to paint. So I took this and I smoothed it off the top. And then you can see if you look a little closer, I added a little bit of purple just to give it some depth. And then I laid it on really thick again on the bottom. I put this paint all over, took lots and lots and lots of it. And then, in order to get the waves that we have in Donald Duck's little area, I took my knife and then I just kind of pushed up, just ever so slightly with the color, with the deep green, pushing up, kind of like making a wave, coming down here and creating another wave. And then usually if a bird is sitting in the water, there is a swirl going all the way around the bird. So I took the paint and I tried to swirl it some, and then I pushed it up here, and then I pushed it up more. Actually, if you could see a little bit closer, there are some bumps there, but that's all right. They're going to be covered up. Donald doesn't care. He's a little bumpy anyways. So after I used the palette knife and I laid down the really green thick paint, then I took some yellow and I spread that in at the bottom because there's some yellow, kind of yellowish green down here where you can almost see through that color. And then I took white and I just gave myself like a little thin layer of white going all the way across to make the swirl. And then I took my fingers and I just kind of gently moved the white paint into the area where I knew Donald was sitting, because Donald is so happy that he's in his home and just a very carefree duck. So that's how we started. And then you can see the pink color is the outline that I did already, because Donald Duck is very, very complicated. You wouldn't think that being a duck, but he has many, many feathers. And so I thought, oh, I only have an hour show. How am I going to get all those feathers in? So I'm thinking, I got to do all this work ahead of time. So I did, folks. And remember, I want you to use any kind of supplies you have around the house. I don't want you to go buy supplies. I want you to use whatever you have available. Now, the colors I make, if you've been following me, you know that I don't make them, but I mix them is what I should say. What I do in mixing the colors is I take my primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and then I start mixing the colors until I get the colors that I want. Now, in order to make a color darker, like if I wanted to make this pink darker, then the pink is a form of red. Well, this is a form of brown actually. And the opposite of red is green. So you tint a little bit of green in there instead of trying to do like a black, which will it lessens the color of your paint. It doesn't make it as nice. So you want to use a color that is opposite on the color wheel, and that's why we always do the color wheel. I'm a very big color wheel fan. All right, so shall we get started? So I've laid down my foundation of Donald, and now I'm going to start working from the top to the bottom. And so I'm just going to take some kind of short, flat, very sharp, very flat brush, and I'm going to put some of that brown in there because there's a brown color here that I've mixed up. It's sort of a medium brown. I'm just going to take that medium brown, and you'll see here I've got little cups that attach to my palette. Very nice. I can open them up, and one is filled with water, and it helps me if I just need just a little bit of water. Every little bit helps in painting, so you want to get all the kind of helps you can to actually get you to where you need to be, which is painting. You can't paint if you got to be doing all these other things. So think ahead of time, because I have to prepare paints way ahead of time, and colors and so forth in order to get them in. Now I'm going to go with my really dark brown up here, and in the picture there's kind of a squared shape right in here, so I'm going to make that form. Remember, you're looking for forms, shapes, and this is going to curve in. If I curve it in, making it curve in, it gives it the feeling to make that head a little bit round. I want to go a little bit darker because it has a lot of darkness in there too. I'm just tapping my brush in there, tap, 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 and then that actually goes, yeah, I think because the eye's coming in right about there. So tap it in, tap, just take the brush, tap, 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 giving the feeling, letting some of that other light pink show through. And then another dark area is down here, right over where the wings are. So I'm going to paint that in with dark brown since that's what I have on my paints. Now the wings come here, and then they come out probably about, here's the top, it comes down, and then it comes out right about here. Okay, so I'm going to paint part of a wing, feather, whatever you want to call it, in this area. It's a dark brown. It's sort of like looks like it has a little white tip to it, but I'm not going to put those tiny details in there. I always finish up my paintings when the cameras stop rolling, because I know then that I can really get close. I don't like to block the view. I'm hoping that someday I'm going to get another camera in here to where I can just have one on my painting and one on me, not me necessarily, but on my picture, because that's what's the most important thing, is the picture. And you'll see I'm covering up some of that white wave, which is fine. You want to do that. And then there's like right in here, there's some feathers that are hanging out there. And then there's a big area right in here. Here's the end. Let me draw in I'm going to draw in where the wings are so I don't confuse myself. So the wing starts here. I need a real sharp edge. To get a sharp edge, you just pinch your brush real hard, going down. And then the wing comes down this way, comes down probably about here. And then there's some dark brown in there, that area. And there's actually a feather, and I'm going to make that a little lighter because I want to fade it into the background. That comes in there. It curls around. So I'm going to curl it some. And then there's a big area right here underneath this wing. So let me put that wing in. So that goes whoosh, just like this. And then it comes in here. And then it looks like a triangle is what it looks like. Right there, right about there is where that wing comes in. And then there's some areas down here. These are all feathers. You start with the little feathers. And I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit later. I just want to give myself some references here about the middle of that wing. Actually, it's just a little further here. There's some big areas of feathers. and then there's another layer, there's some smaller layers in here. And then you kind of, instead of doing straight down lines, I want to curve over to give the feel of a curved body. Okay, and then this right here, I'm going to wet my brush a little bit, flatten it out to get a nice sharp point on it. There is, right about here, there's a tail, and then these are where the wings are coming in. The feathers, and they're dark, dark, dark. So I'm going to add the dark brown. And sometimes it's hard to see on that color. I might have to add a little bit blue to darken it. There's some more feathers that feather out, so give it a feathery feel. And then one more. I need a really, really dark brown, and I did not mix up a really dark brown, so I'm going to reach over, folks, and grab just a little tiny bit of black. And most of the time I create my black, but I didn't this time. You can create a black by mixing red, yellow, and blue, going heavy on the blue. That gives you that black color, that nice black. All right, now this is going to be kind of a blackish brown, and that's going to come right in here. Whoosh. And that feather is curved going into the body. And then there's some dark areas right underneath this wing. There's a shadow. So I'm going to stick that shadow in there. The shadow curves like here. It starts, let me stick in this part. There's the wing is kind of folded over, and there's a little curve here, and then it comes in, and then it comes down, just like that, and then it goes up. If I do this, I can get a good feel to where it was, a visual. It comes in here, right about here. All right, and so let's get some dark colors in there, adding the dark brown, adding a little bit of black to my palette colors, and getting those colors in, getting those shadows right about here. There's some really dark black. Let me go even darker. And that is like in a, that goes like almost right here. It goes down here, and then it comes in here, and then it goes in this direction. And I would say it's a triangle shape. When you're painting, folks, please always look for triangles, circles, squares. Those are things that are really going to help in your painting. Now the wing folds over, so there's going to be a shadow in there for the wing. And then there's a dark area coming down here over this direction. And it kind of makes this almost like a square. I would call that similar to a square. And I'm going to go with the dark brown in that color. And then it's kind of muted slightly. This is hidden, so you won't see, since it doesn't have a lot of sun on it, you won't see a lot of detail in that area. Let me go back in, grab some more paint, do kind of straight, short, jerky motions to give the feel of the feathers. Okay, leave some of that highlight there. Well, now I want to go back up to the head. I'm going to dip my brush in water, take some of that water off, go to the lighter browns. And this is the color that I've got on here already. And I want to make that in a circular motion. And in order to make a circle, I've got to come in and make some round curves to make that look like a circle. And then it comes right about here into this area. And then there's a nice dark area, light area I should say. That's going to be a highlight too towards the end. And that comes down here, and then it's going to stop before it hits the wing. And then that will continue because the sun is sitting on this side. So I'm going to make that a pinkish color. It's going to continue down here. And folks, you want to do sideway motions to give the feel that there's some substance there. All right, and I want to add, I've got the nice pink in there, so I don't need to add the pink there anymore. There's a bunch of white down here, because this part here is like the fuzzy things at the bottom of the duck. So I'm going to make that sort of fuzzy, rounded, give it some feel that it's got some fuzziness to it. I'm going back to the head, dipping my paintbrush in water, grabbing some of the medium browns, and going up here, and right about, there's a lot of this medium browns that comes down here. And it's almost like a square that comes here, and then there's a square that comes off this part, and so I'm going to make that as kind of like a square, and then I'm going to tap it in there. I need to go a little darker, add some dark brown. Tap, tap, tap with the brush. And then this color is going to get lighter, so I can just leave what's on my brush, add some white, and lighten that out, because that's going to fade away. It's further away from the sun. And that comes down like here, and it goes in here by the eye, and then it comes down here, right about there. Trying to get out of your way. I apologize if I'm in your way. Sometimes I can't help it. I get so involved in my painting. I just want to get up close and personal. That's all. And there's a line of brown, the darker brown, excuse me, blowing bubbles, that goes down towards the sides. So in order to make that feathery, I need to add some white before I add the brown, because there are white feathers that are hanging out, and I also need to change this brush. It's too fat. So I'm going to get a skinnier brush to do some detail work, and I'll have to rest my arm up here. And remember, try to rest your arm against your body when you're doing those jerky motions. I'm taking my brush and twirling it, and that's a little secret to get some sharper points. And then I want to add that up here. I'm doing like half circles, hardly any paint on my brush, taking it and twirling it again, getting that feel to more white. Oops, too much. Twirl it. And that's going to go right up here, little feathers hanging out, sticking out. Donald needs a haircut, but he's not the only one who needs a haircut right now, because I sure do. I don't know about you folks, but I definitely need a haircut. Okay, not that you care or even need to know. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of red in there, just give it some, I went with the dark brown because there's a layer that comes to right here. It comes out like here, and then it goes there. And then it does the same thing here, and it comes there. And so that's just going to get a feel of more feathers. Do a little bit of red, but a lot of white. Twirling my brush. Adding more brown. Twirling. Just taking the edges of my brush and twirling it. Getting rid of, trying to go over some of that white that I put down, because I put down too much. I mean the red. I can't tell my colors. Who knows? Okay, now it's going to get darker down there towards the bottom. Actually, it's darker up here, and it's going to get lighter towards the bottom. Light brown. Go up to my light brown here, and then tap, 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 covering up some of those lines. Those lines are good guides for you folks. You need those guides. I'm going to push some of that in here while I have it on my brush because I can and I want to. Then I like almost the red and the yellow, giving us an orangey color, just to add some color up here because there is a lot of brightness up here. And I'm tapping some of that color in, sticking it into my red, twirling my brush, making a point, coming up here, adding some of that color, especially around the eyes because the eyes are important. Okay, so the head is fairly done. I think I need to add a little bit more brown going in this way to get the feel of that head curving, tapping those colors in. Okay, looking good. And then I'm going to give him an eye. His eye is really black. So I'm just going to put the eye in. It comes down here, right about at the bottom of this thing here. And the eye is, of course, circular. So I'm going to put a little circular motion in there. And some of that nice color is blending in there. And then, of course, the eye has a big old white spot around the top. So I'm going to grab a thinner brush, going into my white, and then just making some highlights around the eye while I still have the paint there. And it's dripping a little bit, but that's okay. I like that. I like that drip. Gives some character to that eye. All right. It actually needs to have just a little bit more white on there. Some of that paint came off from the brown, so I'm going to dab more white. Really give that eye some highlights. More white, more dabs. Oh, he's got a nice eye. Okay. And then he's dripping a little bit. Okay, I'll have to add some more black in there when that dries a little bit. Okay, so let me go into the bill part. Bill, talking about bills. Everybody's worried about bills right now. I don't blame you. It's a very, very difficult time. Okay, this color here I'm going to start first is a gray. It comes underneath here, and it comes whoosh all the way down to the wing, to where it separates. Add a little more paint. And then I'm going to layer this to give the feel. Add some more of that color down here. And the reason I'm layering it is because I want it to roll. And in order to get it to roll, you have to have light, medium, and dark colors. Now that bill is pretty blue. So I'm going to add some of this pretty blue up there. And then you're really going to see a difference. And that blue's coming out right about there. Resting my hand on the board because I can. Bringing that big old brush with that beautiful color, that beautiful blue, adding a little bit of the other blue because it's going to start getting a little darker here, and that has a feel just like this. I'm going to come on this side so you can see better. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd think this was a seagull, but I don't think it is because of the way the shape of the mouth is. Now, ducks are very, very territorial, and if you see a duck that has a lot of baby ducks nearby, do not bother it because it's very protective and it will attack you. Getting more paint on that brush because I can, and I'm trying to get it up in this little corner. I'm bringing it down here, making my brush work for me, earning its pay. Some of the food that ducks eat are worms, fish, insects, and people. No, I'm just kidding. Donald is a friendly duck. He doesn't eat people. Okay, then there's another part here that comes down, and I need a thicker brush, so let me get these other brushes that I don't like leaving in the water, but sometimes I forget and they stay in the water for a while. Okay, clean this brush here, put it in my paper towel, and get some of that more muted blue coming down here on this side. And that comes up to that part right there. And what I do afterwards is I fix the colors, I blend them together when I don't have more time. When I do have more time, I mean, I'll blend them together better. And these are water-soluble paints I'm using. And they're really good paints. I work with them for a while, and I like them because they don't dry out as fast as acrylics do. Then come down here. I want to make this more gray. That blue is going to be right about here. Coming into that giant bill. Oh, no such thing as mistakes. You just blend it in with your fingers. All right. And the last thing I want to do on the bill is put one more dark gray color on it. There's lots of bumpiness here, air openings, so the bird can dive. These kind of birds really can dive for big fish. You'd probably be jealous if you saw the fish that they carry. And this is really dark gray, so I'm going to go here. This needs to be a darker gray. And it's hard to get it because I put too much light gray in there. Straighten out some of these strokes, coming down here, filling some of that in. Now there is actually some yellow at the bottom of that bill, and I'm going to put that in because I think that yellow is important. And the bill, we're not going to see all of the bill. Wouldn't that be nice to not see your bills too? That blue, I had some blue on my hand. I'm just taking it and blending it in. It makes the water more interesting. And then this is a dark blue here. Since I got this skinnier brush, I can come in here and grab that area. I'm going to add some lighter gray up here at the top because that looks kind of funky. And I'm going to come down here and make this kind of mark, and then add the blue and the gray to make that bill more fuller, give it some depth, not covering up all that pretty peach pinkish color that I have because I like that color in there in the bill. Bringing it down here to have it continue like it's all one part. And then I'm just going to take my little soft brush. There's nothing on this, no paint, and I'm just going to blend some of those colors together just ever so slightly while they're just slightly damp. Get rid of some of those lines that I created. This I want to blend in kind of like a circular motion, not kind of, but yes, in a circular motion to make it feel like it's rounded. It's a rounded bill. Go down here. Okay. Now I might need a little touching up a little bit later on that, but I want to move on because I've got a lot of painting to do. The next color I want to do is it's kind of, I'm going to change brushes and get the little square brush again because I want to go in and grab some of this tan color. Now it's going to come out a little tannish blue because I had too much blue on that paintbrush, but that's okay. And I want to make sure that I'm doing these kind of strokes here, like a C-shaped stroke. Got too much paint on this brush, I can't get it to a tip, so I'm just going to go back in until I can. All right. Go in with a little darker, make a finer point so I can get some sharper edges, because as things get away from you, when they get closer to you, when they're closer, they're bigger, and when they're further away, they're smaller. Think of trees that you see when they're lined up. Now I want to start going at more of an angle. I'm doing more of sideways V's than anything. Now this color is going to be gone over many times. That's why I said, oh, I need to do a lot of this work ahead of time. Trying not to rest my hand on my painting. And then there's like a grayish tone area, a dark brown, really dark brown, that goes in right about there. So I want to get that in. It's about less than 1/2, and it just kind of comes out like here. And these are feathers, you can't really see as well, and you don't have to worry so much about the feathers going up, because if they're not perfect, feathers come to a point, of course, they're sort of diamond shaped. So as long as you're doing those shapes, you'll be fine. So I'm putting a pointed head on these, going back in for more paint, going in, and this really, they start to get really big here. So I'm going to do real pointed, big feathers. So you get the feel right there. And then those are going to be lighter, and then these are real dark. And big. And for that stroke, I'm just going to put a lot of paint on and just come out skinny and go big. Same thing here, flatten my brush, come out skinny at this point and go big. Here, skinny, go big, bring it in, make it connect, make that paint work for you folks. Okay, starting to look good. Now I need to add another lighter color. I'm going with a lighter brown. And pretty much going over the same, putting some of the light in between those feathers. And there's a little bit of gray in there. I might grab some of that if I remember. And I even have some pink in there, which I like. I think I'm going to do that. Add a little bit of my red. Add some white, red and white, come up with a little bit of pink, and add some pink onto those feathers. That looks really good. Because the light certainly is shining in this area, coming to a point, because feathers are pointed. This feather goes in here. These feathers start to come out. Now I barely have any paint on my brush, which is what I want at this point, because I'm just blending some of these colors in at the top where the light is shining. Now I'm going to go in for that gray. I'm so glad I remembered, because I have a tendency to forget. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the gray, making some sideways V's. I need a little bit more gray in there, a little bit darker. more gray, a little darker, starting to get dark. And then there's a giant area right in here that's just kind of feathers all congregated. And then these feathers are going to be like a lighter color, so I'm going to add some lighter colors in there. Then I'm going to take that dark gray, because there's a shadow down here, and it starts here and it comes around, and then it comes down, and then I'm going to get really dark, grab a little bit of black. Actually, I think I got some green on there, but that's all right. That color looks good. Okay, a little bit of white, different brush. Pull my brush out of there because I can, and I should not have it kept in there. That's not good. My teachers used to yell at me all the time. Don't put those paints in water and leave them sit. Then I'm going to add some points on this white. You want everything to be pointed because that's what the feathers are, nice and pointed. And then bring some of that color in, just kind of blend it in like that. Take a look, stand back. Yes, it gives me the feel of a really nice big fat feather. Then I'm going to go in with the next one. I'm going to start at the top where the elbow, I call it an elbow, I really don't know what it is, where it's bent. And so I'm going to go over here, grab a brown. I got too much water on this paintbrush again. Twirl my brush and start, since this is the same color as the rest of the body, then I can straighten that color out. That's there. Straighten out that arm. It's got like a funky bend to it. Okay, and then it comes around, so I'm going to curve that in. I'll get out of your way, I promise. And add a little bit more of that color over here. I need to straighten this out just a little bit. It's too fat. There we go. Perfect. And go deeper in there, get thicker on the paint. And that actually is going to darken up because it's under the neck. So I added a little bit of gray to it. Alright, fix this color, just blend. I could just sit here and paint all day, folks. I could. So, you know, if you ever want to come and join me, please, we will be here all day doing this. I guarantee it. Alright, I need to add a little bit more dark blue in later on the bill because it's not as dark blue as I want it. So I'll do that later, but it will need to be fixed. Okay, now I need to start layering again because this is a nice chocolatey brown. So I'm going to start with that and come here and just start making feathery points, like coming here. There's a lot of detail in this area, so I'm just making points is what I'm doing. These are feathers that are bent, they're pointed. I'm going to straighten this out too, just slightly. Okay. And then I need to add some dark brown in there. Well, I got this brush there, I'm going to add some of that dark brown. This is a little bit different color than what I put on before, and it comes to like a V. Or a triangle. Or whatever color you want it to come to. And then I'll add some there to give those V-shaped things a little bit of highlight. That bill, I'm not happy with the bottom of it. I'm going to have to fix that because it looks like it's crooked. I can hold my paintbrush up there and I can see that I need to come out more at the bottom. So I'll fix that later. When you're not looking, I'll fix it. Okay, so there's a little bit of gray underneath here. Just a little bit of light gray. I'm going to bring it into the feather. You can barely see that. So I'll put it on just a little bit heavier. Alright. And then there's a bunch of dark, and I'll go to a different brush because I need a flathead. Feel like it's a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver. But we know it's a brush, right? Okay. That dark, dark brown. Get my brush nice and flattened out and not get too much paint on it. And then come here and just go right there. Go across the top of that. Separate that out. Yes, that'll work. And then since I have that color on my brush, I'll come underneath here and put that stroke in again. Okay, I can see my paints are starting to dry a little bit. So what I want to do while the paints are drying, because I don't want them to dry before I put my little blenders in, I'm going to blend some of these colors in here, just ever so slightly. I'm just barely touching this. Ever slightly, bringing some of that color out underneath, and that's really, 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 that's the darkest part. And there's some dark brown under that, and I'm going to grab that while I see it because I will miss that. Looks like it's like there's a feather right here that's totally dark. Alright. My notes were do not overpaint. Don't muddy those colors. You don't want to do that. There's some white in there, some more white, and there is some more dark in that area. So I'm just going to do some dark in here. I need it even darker than that. Then sort of connect, because we want to act like these are connecting. Alright, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Now this part is really, really going to be hard for me. Please, I hope I don't do a bad job with it. I'm just going to put a whole bunch of color in here, because this is sort of a reddish color, reddish brown. And then I'm going to make some jerky motions to give a feel for feather, because this is going to be covered up. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all. And then these feathers come down this direction. Blend, blend, blend. More of that color. Then those feathers come in here. They start to get smaller. And they start to wrap around. So I've got to have some points up here to make that look like it's wrapping around. And then there's lots and lots of feathers in there. So I need to get that pinkish color right in here to bring that in. I realized I needed to fill that gap in there. Alright, that looks good. And I'm going to put brown on top of that. Grab a different brush. Come over here and grab this tall, handsome looking brush. Get my dark, dark brown. Get a sharp point on my brush, very sharp. I'm reaching into my palette over here, sorry you can't see. And then I'm just going to make some V's on top of this. And it's not doing a good job. A well job. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't know I was an English teacher, would you? Okay. I'm looking for the dark brown. And I need to go real dark, and I need to go with a really, this is a Bob Ross style. He swirls his brushes too. So add some V's in here. Add some V's on this direction. It's actually going all the way across the top, but I'm not going to do a lot of that detailed work because I don't have time. So I'm just going to tap that in there. These are going to be like just little colored at the end of this reddish feathers. They're colored. V's. I want V's, V's, V's. And then I want a feel of feathers blending in here. So I want the feathers thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top. Thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top. Well, I got this over here. I'm going to fill some of that dark space in there again. Make it even darker. Come out here. All right. Now I want to go with a different brown. I want to go with the chocolatey brown. You get chocolate, really nice chocolate brown when you add red and yellow. Oh yes, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and then feel some of this chocolatey brown. It kind of looks red, but that's all right. And these are really long. So layer, layer, layer. Put another color on top of another color on top of another color until you get what you want. Then I'm going to put another layer of feathers coming in here. You can see that that's working for me. Feathers go all different shapes, all different sizes. Go back in, get some more of that chocolatey color. Darken it just a little bit. And then there's a nice layer like in here. Blend some of those colors out. Okay, I told myself I was not going to muddy my paints. So I'm not going to put any more of that brown in there. I'm just going to blend some of those colors out. Give me some shadows. There's like a layer, a skinnier layer here, so I can add some shadows in with this dry brush to give it a feel of another layer, and then a layer here. I'm going to blend some of those strokes out just slightly and bring some of this here to give it a feel of going out this direction. Okay. Now this has got some really, this over here on the side. I'm looking for that brush I just put down. Where did you go to? Brush. You are hiding, 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 hiding. There you are. You're turned upside down. Okay. Oh, let me get a tissue for my nose. Oh, I just realized my apron is inside out. Must be that kind of day. All right, a dark brown, so I've got a dark brown here, and I'm going to add a lot of paint on it, and then I'm going to take it and twirl it because I'm going to have some really long strokes coming in here, and they're going to go at an edge, and I want it kind of thinned out, so thick and thin, thick and thin, thick and thin, thick and thin. Thick and thin. Don't you love it when you talk to yourself? Okay. And then there's some little pieces of gray in there, so go back in, dip my brush in, get some of that paint off, come up to my light gray, twirl it, then bring some of that color in here. Okay, step away for a minute and then add some more dark grays at the bottom, and this time I can go a little faster, taking that same long skinny brush, it's called a liner brush, and then adding just some strokes and layers. There's some sharp layers here. You can barely see them. And then there's some bigger layers going in there. And it comes down like this. Okay, and then there's some more layers in that area. They're starting to get bigger now. I'm just making sideway V's for those feathers. And then there's more layers coming here, and these are real big feathers, and these I'm going to make a diamond shape because they are very, very big, and that is the shape of feathers. You can see that they're just all different shapes, but they always come to a point. Blend some of that color in here, lighten that up a little bit. It's just a little too dark for me. Giving it a feel of feathers going down, around, all over the place. Right in here. I can add some of that color down there, that grayish color. I need it a little darker, so I'm going to go in and grab some more dark colors. And then it kind of comes down here, just like that. Okay, looking good. Go to a different brown, really swirling my brush, getting those colors in, adding another layer. Looks like a bunch of crisscross. Adding some of the dark gray in. Covering this up. For some reason I do not like this spot, so I keep working on it until I'm going to get it right. I thinned out my paint a lot. I just want that color to be nice and flat because that's a shadow. And shadows, you can't see much detail. Okay. Alright. And then I need to add some light gray in there at the top. Light gray and white. Because it's starting to look too dark for me. There's a lot of white coming in right here. And then there's some white that's coming in this way. Some of my highlights, and then I want to do this tail feather. I've got a little hair on my brush. It's kind of driving me crazy. You can just see a little tiny bit of detail in there. Bringing that brush up, bringing those strokes in, blending them in, blending, blending, blending. And I do need to separate that. There's a dark area in there, and I don't get a good feel for the area that's there now. So I'll make a different brush and separate it. It's actually a dark brown. And it comes into those feathers. That's better. That gives me more of a feel. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom part of it because I really like what I did there. there's just a little line here. And then there's that area that I keep saying, I don't like it, I don't like it. It actually goes straight because that's part of the wing. Bringing that down because it's going to curve down. And then there's a dark area right underneath here. Area to make this come to a point. A triangle is what it is. It needs to come to a triangle. Okay. I am liking this bird. It is a lot of work, but I think I'm going to be able to, let me check the time. I'm not going to be able to finish this because I am out of time. I'm going to work some more on the bottom. I'm going to add some more highlights and some more white in there. It's almost finished. And then I'm going to really come around here and add some more of that emerald green. Add some more white in this area here. Fix the bill, and then Donald Duck will be finished. What do you think? Is he ready to fly away? I think so. I think Donald has been a wonderful friend to me today, and so have you, friends. I just really appreciate when you join me. And I'm on YouTube daily at 1 p.m. Central Time. I changed the time from 3 to 1 because I actually paint better when it's closer to the morning. I have more energy and I can get more excited because I'm not as tired. So we are going to change it to 1. I hope that works for you. But if you can't catch me live at 1 o'clock, guess what? I'm on YouTube. I have almost 25 videos. That's a lot of video and a lot of painting. I am painting 10 pictures a week, and I used to just do 1. So I'm getting so much better at painting, faster in a live setting, and I've enjoyed my time so much with you. I want to remind you that wear your mask and your gloves. If you have to go out, please do that for me. Wear your mask and your gloves, and don't go out if you don't have to. Use things around your house. You can find them. I go through basement drawers and I say, oh, I forgot that was there and I needed it and I can use it. You know, get rid of clutter because clutter doesn't do you any good. You know, when you're painting, you should be organized. Your paint should be all lined up. Your brushes lined up, and because they start drying out, and so do things that are going to make your life easier. That's what I do. I really work hard for that because I was not always like that. Even though I'm a retired teacher, you know, and I didn't have as much structure at teaching as I do right now. I love this job, and I hope that you've enjoyed your time with me. I thank you again for joining me. We do end our session with Bill Withers. Stand by me. I'm going to run over here for a second because I'm only one person. You can still hear me in my studio, so I have to set things up, and I've got Bill Withers hopefully set up so I don't have to sing all by myself. Let me try it again. Bill Withers, where did you go? All right, Bill Withers. I got to type him in again. Actually, I've got him on my phone. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my phone on, and I'm going to hope and pray. I always sign my paintings SDG. My name, Mary Boehme, Boehme. That's how you find me on YouTube. And SDG stands for Soli Deo Gloria. To God be the glory for all I do. Look at these wonderful talents He's given me to paint such beautiful artwork and to have such great friends by being with you. You know, so a couple of tips that I want to remind you of as you're painting. Make sure you clean your brushes well. They are your tools. You want to take good care of them. And I use this Fels Naphtha as cleaning. I clean 3 times, 2 times with this and another time with an actual brush cleaner. And that's very helpful to me because I use my same brushes over and over again, and I hope you do too. If you don't have any brushes, any good brushes, just use anything you have. Anything. You can do it. I know you can. Okay, Bill Withers, where's your music? Lean on Me. Okay, there's the song. That's the song I want. Is not going to do it. Lean on Me. Okay, lean 1. Lean on me. I apologize for those folks. The other day I had my music all set up, and I had Bill Withers all set up to play, and then my phone rings, and I said, oh, that's not it. Okay, let's do the song without music. Okay, the words are, sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, and I'll help you to carry on. For it won't be long until I'm going to need somebody to lean on. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Sing along with me. Sometimes in our lives we do have that pain and we do have that sorrow, but be smart. Knock some sense into that noggin. You're not in this world alone. Everybody is together going through this horrible virus. So you're not alone. As the God above, God is with you. He promises He will never leave you nor forsake you, He says. So trust Him. Be not afraid, He says. I am with you always to the end of the earth. So, folks, thank you so much for being with me. Mary Boehme from Married Art Studios. Please subscribe. Do me a favor and subscribe to me on YouTube. Thank you so much, and God bless.